Oh yeah!
Hey, welcome to another episode of Spare from the Past. We're here talking about Ring of Honor's ref of the Racket. And because it's Ring of Honor, I've got to have JPO here because he's the one that told me that these are on YouTube. But JPO, how's it going?
It's good. And hey, before we talk Ring of Honor, wait, let's see what side. We've got to do the honor, the handshake of honor, Malcolm. Come on. Join me. Join me. Yeah, there we go. All right, good. I thought you were going to turn heel on me and not shake my hand like Christopher Daniels, but you stayed face. I appreciate it. Yes, Ring of Honor has been a love of mine for many years. So, yes, I was the one that encouraged you to put it on the wheel. I always got to talk about when it comes up, including a show that I've never seen before. This is one that was brand new to me.
Yeah. But as I like to start, I like to do is on the stage to start with stuff. So on the stage on August the 9th, 2003, the number one movie at the box office was Pirates of the Caribbean: Curse of the Black Pearl. The number one song was "Crazy in Love" by Beyonce featuring Jay-Z. The number one album was the Bad Boys 2 soundtrack. And well, yes, there was no. I don't know if TNA was officially around here, but they had the NWA Heavyweight Championship at the time. The champion was AJ Styles. The WWE Championship at the time was Kurt Angle, and the World Heavyweight Championship was Triple H.
Yeah, TNA debut is June of 2003, so they're a little over a year old at this point. Also,
Yeah,
speaking of things that are about to turn 13, I'm turning 13 tomorrow on this date.
yeah.
Not
Uh,
currently. I'm a little more than 13.
I was about to say,
Just
but moving into the pay per view, we opened up. Look, it's one of those ones where because I think I mentioned it last time we did Ring of Honor. I was like, I'm always thrown when watching these where it's a different kind of setup to what I'm used to with watching WWE, TNA, and all that because it's the sort of like they're not sort of super television quality. It's like a taped house show if that makes sense.
it is bare bones. Yeah, in fact, I was even going to say it's not really a pay per view. These were taped at the time for
Yeah,
VHS/DVD release exclusively. Only way to watch these would buy the VHS or the DVD at the point.
Um, but yeah, we open up with a um, I was calling it a tag team scramble because I think that's essentially what it is. I can't remember what they actually called it. But we have
That's what it's billed as, I believe, right? Yeah.
yeah. But we have the teams of Special K facing, which is Deranged and Hydro, facing off against Carnage, Crush, AC Loke, and Masada. The SAT, which is Jose and Joel Maximo, and Don Chan and Fast Eddie, a tag team scramble. I mean, look, this match was one of those ones where it's like I was kind of unclear the rules because it was not so much. It was like it was one of those tag team, like the fatal four-way tag team matches that WWE do at the time. It was like anyone can tag in at any one time, and it's just all over the place. But I mean, it was fun to watch. I had fun watching it. But JB, what did you think about this opening match?
Yeah, at the time, yeah, they were pretty big on these big scramble matches here. You got Special K, which is a group of club kids that are probably high on some sort of pill. That's their gimmick, including Hydro, who of course is the future Jay Lethal. This is very early Jay Lethal
Yeah,
here. Yeah, the Carnage crew. Usually Tony DeVito and AC Loken said this version was AC Loken and Masada, who we may know recently from being on the Maven video. He's the guy that put his foot on Maven and celebrated, and Maven didn't like that, and then shot on him. That's who Masada is. Yeah, the SATs, and then yeah, Don John and Fast Eddie. Fast Eddie, legally blind, by the way. Um, so yeah, this was a fun four way. They did a lot of these in kind of '02 to '04. So yeah, just a kind of a quick, fun, splashy way to start. Of course, it does segue into Jim Cornette, who that's why I remember it being a scramble match because I remember when he grabbed the mic and he's like, "What was this?" One of the commentators go, "What? It doesn't like scrambles?"
Uh, but yeah, there's leading into this the segment was we get Jim Cornette, who I believe this was his first time in Ring of Honor too. He comes down and runs down Special K, then introduces that he's the prophecy, which is Crystal Daniels and Dan Maff, as they sort of destroy the Ring Crew Express, which is the I don't quite know who they are, but
I got news for you, baby. Just ask me and I got you. Dunn and Marcos, and I gotta shout out Marcos because not only did Marcos train Luke Harper, aka Brody Lee. You know who else he trained a little bit?
You?
Yes, shit, you saw it coming. He trained me a little bit, so I had to show some love to Marcos. Yes, the guy that got beat up on the show trained Brody Lee, and then I actually got to train with him a few times as well.
But then we get a bunch of sort of promos throughout here.
As this is what I like too. This is what kind of hooked me a little bit in Ring of Honor. They were really good at making like establishing characters and having these
Yeah,
fun backstage vignettes. They were very heavy on these the first few
yeah,
years. Something that's absolutely missing from Tony Khan's Ring of Honor.
yeah. And we get like BJ Whitmer cutting a promo about getting a real title match opportunity. And then we move into the next match, which was Nigel McGuinness defeating Chet Jablonski. And
Shit, the Jet.
yeah, and it's one of those ones like I'm familiar with Nigel a little bit. I don't like. I'm not too familiar with Chet Jablonski, but the match itself, I thought it was good. Like it was one of those ones that where there was some of these matches where just because of the way that it was recorded, that it was hard to pay attention to it a little bit. But I thought the match itself, I enjoyed the match. Good, but yeah. JB, what do you think of Nigel McGuinness?
Well, don't lie to me, Malcolm. You're not familiar with Chet Jablonski. I think I'm the only person that would ever have known who this guy was.
Well, I said I wasn't familiar with Chet Jablonski. I said I was
You're
familiar.
like you said that familiar, and I was like, that's a lie. You weren't familiar at all. No, I remember because I also used to weirdly get in Florida IWA Puerto Rico, and he was a part of that. And I remember him popping up here, and he actually was very briefly a OVW and FCW WWE developmental guy. Not too long after this, so he didn't do much Ring of Honor, but you can tell he kind of has that like beefy look WWE liked at the time, but never got called up to TV here. So yeah, fun to see early Nigel, nice spiky hair he's got rocking on here, and he of course go on to many more greater things in Ring of Honor and etc. So yeah, I'm gonna get these little matches. This is what was it for the number contendership with the HWA title, which was a Harley Race's promotion, so a bit of a kind of cross promotional stuff going on here as well.
Yeah, and then the next match we had was Homicide, who I've seen a few times when we did the TNA, who's facing off against Chris Sabin, who it's very weird that I see. I don't think I've ever seen Chris Sabin like in a match on his own before. I've most seen him in tag team matches, but I thought the match itself was really good, and like. I always think that this homicide's gimmick, I think is pretty fun. But JBL, what do you think of Homicide versus Chris Sabin?
Yeah, we've been seeing some stuff. I'm not sure if it was before or after this, but some stuff with Homicide and Julius Smokes, his manager, kind of a couple of characters there. No, solid match, and it's kind of funny to see the newer perspective on Chris Sabin just being a tag guy. Because yeah, no, I mean he's getting a lot of steam right now. In fact, he's actually not in Ring of Honor much in these early days because I think he ends up being like a really big part of TNA pretty quickly around this time, winning the exhibition title actually. So yeah, he doesn't really come back and have a full stay with Ring of Honor until many years later with Shelley actually. While Homicide is a day one guy of Ring of Honor. So yeah, no, good match here. This is a fun, unique match that didn't really. I don't know if that's ever happened again. So kind of cool. Good to see these two facing each other.
Yeah. But funny enough, it leads into the next match, which was Chris Sabin's partner Alex Shelley with Jimmy Jacobs facing off against the Second City Saints, which was Colt Cabana and Ace Steel. And this has to be the time CM Punk was in Ring of Honor. They were mentioning him throughout this pay-per-view a lot as well. I think they were saying about this time he was in Japan doing something. But yeah, like the but funny enough, I've heard a lot about Colt Cabana. This is the first time I've actually seen a match with him, and I thought the match itself was like pretty good. And yeah, like even it was just a lot of fun seeing these two teams face off against each other. And yeah, it was just but JPO, what did you think of Second City Saints versus Alex Shelley and Jimmy Jacobs?
Yeah, no, I was excited to see this match here because these are two teams I really enjoyed. Saint City Saints, yes, along with CM Punk. Punk and Cabana would ring the Ring of Honor tag titles for a little while there before their unfortunate breakup as real life friends. Looking at that. Yeah, no, yeah, I've always been a big fan of Cabana. I think he's really funny. You get to see a little bit of his humor on these backstage skits as well. And Ace Steel is another guy who's just been a journeyman for a very long time. He's had backstage roles at both TNA and WWE and AEW in the past as well. Shelley and Jacobs will both go on to be in Ring of Honor for quite a while, leading different stables. Jacobs, another guy who has been backstage. He's a writer for WWE. He helped write the whole Kevin Owens, Chris Jericho best friend friendship arc. That was kind of one of his big babies there, as well as later on being in AEW and TNA. And yeah, Punk's definitely a big part of Ring of Honor. Him and Cabana debuted at the same time, wrestling each other. They were like a duo facing each other, and they would just go to all these different companies. And I'm guessing he's probably in 0-1 at this point, knowing my Punk knowledge.
Yeah. Yeah. But it was just so funny being able to download the retro CM Punk from this year in 2K26 with the blonde hair.
That's why I popped really huge when he was able to reuse that song again, because I love the intro, the Maserati Canatare song.
But next up we had Matt Striker, not that Matt Striker, a different Matt Striker, as I found out when I was doing it, because I looked at the card when I was doing the notes, like, hang on, is that the same? No, it's not the same Matt Striker. Facing off against Justin Credible, who I think was in definitely. Well, I think it was an ECW wrestler as well, but I think there's they were chanting ECW at one point in this match when it was coming out. But I thought this match was decent. It's one of those ones like I think I've seen one or two matches of Justin Credible, and I think it was a fun match. This was just one of those ones where like it was just sometimes it was hard to follow just because of the lighting, but it's well, I'm trying not to blame the lighting too much, but it's just one of those ones that.
I do know what you mean. They've got those big like street lights, or I don't know what you even call them, like Showtime lights. Yeah, it's not the greatest. It's unfortunately not the greatest.
Yeah, but JP, what did you think of Matt Striker versus Justin Credible?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember which Matt Striker I was on to first, because they're both fighting at the same time. Of course, Matt Striker, as you mentioned, the commentator for WWE and pro-time wrestler for WWE and everywhere, really, he's commentated for TNA and MLW. But this was Unibrow. That's how we used to kind of distinguish them whenever we would talk about like indie wrestlers. This is Unibrow Matt Striker, because if you ever see like a profile pic of him, he's rocking the Unibrow. This match is actually kind of like, it seems weird on paper because Credible is more known from ECW, even WWF as well. He was the masked Aldo Montoya, then a part of X Factor, which is incredible. Batista's first Raw opponent and CM Punk's first ECW and Sci-Fi opponent. So that was Christian Incredible's kind of claim to fame as well. More recently too has gone. He's been under a lot of scrutiny. Another Maven video about how he kind of like scams a lot of fans and like says, "Oh, I'll send you an 8x10. Send me the money first." And then you never see that 8x10. So don't send Just Incredible your money, folks. And this is unfortunately like the last like kind of great years of Just Incredible. Like he's still in great shape at this point. I think they actually had a pretty good match here that I did enjoy. He's also part of the Carnage crew along with Loke DeVito and Masada at this point as well. And also this got me a good trivia point. I did Ring of Honor trivia, and I was with Steve Mesa, and then we had Angel Rose, one of the commentators and announcers, and it was what ECW alumni fought Matt Striker at this show. And Steve said Sandman. I said, no, Steve. It was Just Incredible. So I saved us that point.
Next up, and then next we had a quick backstage segment in which the Prophecy beat down the Amazing Red, who was AJ Styles' partner at the time. There's a whole bunch of stuff happening because, like I think I think it was Alex Shelley. They were trying to find out. No, I think it was Colt Cabana trying to find out about this Field of Honor thing.
The Field of Honor is a big thing. He mentioned a couple times throughout the night. Yeah.
But leads into the next match, which was a Four Corners Survivor survival match, which was basically a fatal four way, but it was also they were taking in and out and as well. um, but we had Michael Shane, who I think was a student of, is the brother of Shawn Michaels, defeated Hot Stuff Hernandez, who drops the hot stuff part in TNA and just becomes Hernandez, Scoot Andrews, and then Slick Ragnar Brown. Well, this is one of those matches where it was a little bit confusing at the start, but then once I got into it, I kind of got into really enjoying this match because I thought it was interesting just seeing everyone sort of tag in and out and just this weird take on a fatal four-way match. But I think it worked. But JP, what did you think of this four corner survival match?
Yeah, this match is all right. Again, it's another kind of like the first match. Is a quick way to showcase, I think, a few people here. Michael Shane is the nephew, by the way, of Shawn Michaels. Not the brother, nephew. Yeah, and actually, I was kind of interested in he's a big part of early Ring of Honor and TNA, and he stays with TNA for a couple more years. But this is his last Ring of Honor match, so I'm kind of curious as to what the falling out there was because, like I said, he had a big feud with like Paul London early on. He's at the very first show fighting Brian Kendrick. So because I was kind of wondering what happened there. I thought maybe it was I know not too long after this, the TNA did pull all ROH talent away. They're like, hey, you got to choose us or TNA, and that's when CM Punk was like, I'm sticking with Ring of Honor. But guys like Christopher Daniels and others still, went to TNA because they were weekly at the time. So, but it's not that because that seems to happen a few months later. But yeah, Hernandez, of course, big over in TNA for a while with Homicide Tag Team Champion there. Slick Ragnar Brown looked up, still active to this day, kind of one of those guys that like this is kind of his like biggest highlight. But he's still active, still fighting on the indies to this day. As a big Scoot Andrews fan, he's actually a Florida guy that I was able to work with just only like once or twice because he was kind of on the outs when I was coming into wrestling. But I always thought he was really good too. That he was there kind of in the early days, the very first or second show. So a decent little showcase for these four.
And then moving up, we had a match between Jimmy Rave versus Slim J, who I've heard of Jimmy Rave because I think he was on the last Ring of Honor thing we did, event we did. Slim J just looks like he's this wannabe rapper character. So the match itself, it was fine. It's just one of those ones like I don't really get too invested in. But JB, what do you think of Jimmy Ray versus Slim J?
Yeah, this is all right. These are a couple guys kind of from the Georgia area. NWA Wildside kind of having a nice match here. Slim J actually is still active to this day. He had a brief AEW and Ring of Honor run, and then he left just saying like that the money wasn't kind of enough for how much he was booked. Still active to this day here. We unfortunately, while Jimmy Ray would stay with Ring of Honor for a little while longer, him and Prince Nana did some really fun stuff with the Embassy. Which is worth checking out, and had a good feud with AJ Styles over the rights of the Styles Clash because he also does like a Styles Clash maneuver. But we unfortunately did lose him in 2020 during the pandemic. Unfortunately, no longer with us. That was, if you ever remembered, there's a significance when Swerve Strickland wore the Embassy robe that was given to him by Prince Nana, which was Jimmy Rave's actual robe. So there was a bit of a nod to him in AEW because Jimmy Rave was one of those. Also had a TNA run, really good indie star here, and this kind of early showings of these guys.
Yeah, and then next up we had the Ring of Honor World Title match between Samoa Joe defeating BJ Whitmore. And I thought this match was pretty good. Like I've always really enjoyed Samoa Joe in the ring, and I think it was a lot of fun seeing him in this early days before even sort of TNA and all that. And yeah, I feel like Samoa Joe being this sort of big dude as it is, I think he makes it work, and I think BJ Whitmore put up a good fight against him. But JP, what do you think of Samoa Joe versus BJ Whitmore?
Yeah, no, this is good. This is a good there's the first showing of BJ Whitmore as a potential like maybe next level guy here. I've enjoyed BJ. He continued to later on have a tag team with Jimmy Jacobs, who we saw earlier. They had a good tag title run a couple years later, maybe just about a year or so two later. He was sticking Ring of Honor for a long time. Hasn't wrestled now in about 9 years. He was backstage at AEW. That came to an end. I know he might have been canceled. I haven't looked too far into it. So maybe he's not a great guy. I do not know. But yeah, of course, and this turned Samoa Joe's. He's the third ever Ring of Honor champion, but he was the first one to have it for a long time, and I think really helped put Ring of Honor on the map. Like I think he is definitely not the only, but part of the reason why Ring of Honor started to explode was he was starting to have just these fantastic matches. Paul London, CM Punk, and him have a great
Yeah.
trilogy, and yeah, this is part of that really nice lengthy reign he ended up having.
Yeah, and then we lead into the last match, which was the Prophecy, which was Christopher Daniels and Dan Maff versus AJ Styles. And at the time, he came out alone because no one knew who his partner was. And then out comes Homicide for his second match of the night. And yeah, like, and it's one of those ones like like ever since I've kind of come across AJ Styles when he debuted in WWE. I've always been a big fan of his. And it's always fun seeing some of these sort of earlier stuff that he's done before. And I thought this match was really good. That like there was really good like both teams had good chemistry and it was just a lot of fun to watch. It's well, I do think the ending sort of came out like what threw me a little bit because like when the you have the Prophecy turning on Jim, where it seemed like Jim was only with them for this one night. It was kind of a weird way as with Jim doing this whole big thing of that I've got this new tag team, I'm bringing them in, and then they turn them in by the end of the night. But JPO, what do you think of this tag, the main event?
Yeah, no, I'm with you on pretty much every level here. Yeah, I do think some of the ideas here, like the overall end booking, is a bit weird with the Cornette stuff. A little bit left to be desired there. But as far as like match quality goes, I do think this is probably match of the night here. A good main event of four guys that helped make me a Ring of Honor fan. AJ debuts on like show number 3 with a Jerry Lynn. They have a great match here, so AJ was another one of the names that you just heard about, like TNA,
Yeah,
Ring of Honor, of like you got to watch, even if you just watch for this AJ guy. Again, we already kind of showed some love to Homicide earlier. Dan Moff, I always thought would like maybe go somewhere bigger too, because I always thought that he had a really cool size and look, and he carried himself really good here. Him and BJ Whitmer would actually win the tag titles. Not a little bit later, and then he would disappear from Ring of Honor for a while here, take a sabbatical, I think, from wrestling in general, but came back at it, and it's still rocking till this day here. Has wrestled several times this year, actually, in 2026. Daniels, unfortunately, though, he's been a wrestler since the early 90s. He did retire last year. He fought Hangman Page on AEW TV, and then he did have one Jericho Cruise match as well against Frankie Kazarian under a mask, because that was his buddy and former tag partner. But much
yeah,
love for Daniels. He's like the top heel at this point, and I love me some Christopher Daniels too. I think he's one of my favorite indie wrestlers of all time.
yeah, 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 and and then we had a bunch of like teasers for the whatever the next Ring of Honor pay per view or event, whatever's going to be. But you had like Steve Corino doing a promo. I think Homicide does a promo on Steve Corino, and then which leads to one of their matches, and yeah, but we'll probably get to that one eventually when we spin it on the wheel. But yeah, overall, look, it's one of those ones the product, lighting aside, because I get like Ring of Honor is different to WWE and TNA, and so the production is different. I enjoyed it for what it was. Like it's one of those ones like the way Ring of Honor does it kind of throws me a little bit, but I think the matches are still fun to watch, and I've still had fun doing it. I'm glad that JPO convinced me to put it on wheel, because it gets me to watch other stuff that I may not have ever seen before. but overall, I would give this a 3 out of 5. JPO, what do you think overall about the pay per view event?
Yeah, no, I'm probably with you. Yeah, I can't really give it much more than a 3 because even like the main event, while still I think pretty good, I don't know if I'm necessarily saying for anyone to go their way out of they're out of the way to see it. I think everything was pretty fun. I do remember because again, unlike now when you can spend $10 and get literally the Ring of Honor app and like half the almost every show ever. These were $15-$20 a pop, and I do remember like seeing not bad reviews, but like there's a reason why I never owned this one on VHS or DVD because there is other shows that I think have several great matches on here too. So this is not the best example of Ring of Honor, but I think still a decent example of kind of like what the roster was at that point. And so, like I said, not a bad match in my opinion, but still, yeah, nothing like great banger, if you will here.
Yeah. But it's time to bring up the reel to spin for the next pay-per-view. Now, what I've started to do recently is in the weekend where there is a pay-per-view happening, I will put all the pay-per-views that are like either. So this weekend we've got a lot happening because we've got TNA Slammiversary, we've got Night of Champions, and we've got the NXT's Great American Bash. So I've got I've got every iteration of those on a separate reel for my big run, and it's going to be one of those we're going to be talking about. So bring up the reel. We've also got an AEW pay, but I don't have. We've finally got HBO Max in New Zealand, but they don't have AEW on it, so I still can't watch AEW pay. The old AEW. Look, when they become available, I will put them on the reel. I promise. And it looks like it's TNA's. It's 2020's TNA Slammiversary.
That's a pandemic, no one in the crowd show.
Yeah, I mean, some of them we would have to talk about eventually.
There's still probably some good stuff on there, though. Even that's what I do give TNA credit. TNA and Ring of Honor for trying to keep stuff going during the pandemic.
Yeah.
They also didn't fire people, unlike the assholes that have no souls in WWE.
Yeah. I forgot Ethan Page was in TNA at one point because he's on this card.
Of course, yeah, no. Him and Josh Alexander, longtime tag team champions, is the North. Yeah. I first found him in Evolve, but yeah, TNA helped me become an even bigger fan.
But yeah, we'll be talking about 2020's TNA Slammiversary next time. Should be a lot of fun. But JPO, where can people find you online?
Yeah, a little channel called the Piersco. Pierce like Pierce your ear, the Piersco. Lots of movie shenanigans happening over there. We're currently in the big tag team tournament. I asked Malcolm to be a part of it. He said, "Screw you, I hate you, Jordan. Get out of my DMs." And I said, "Okay, fine. Sorry, just trying to be your friend." So you won't find him, but you'll find pretty much everyone else in the little trivia leagues fighting over in that tournament here, as well as other shenanigans happening on that channel as well. We just celebrated over 700 episodes of trivia. Holy shit! That's a thing. God, where has my life gone? Anywho, but also wrestling wise, check out Real Pro Wrestling. That's a company I'm involved with over in Fort Myers, Florida. We just had another really cool event that just went down. So new matches from that will be dropping in the next week or two. Check out Just Wrestling online. I just did some commentary for that. Episode 1 just dropped, featuring the current FIP champion Argus Artois taking on TJ Brady, and there'll be more episodes to come from that. Let's see. Yeah. Pierce Wrestling, also exclusive wrestling content over there. You'll find me on there. Check out my cage match profile. I have one because I was in like 6 matches, so that counts. That's cool. Check me out on the old Ring of Honor forums where I posted over 3,000 times. Just kidding, they deleted that, but still, I just wanted someone to know that I did spend over 3,000 posts on the Ring of Honor forums.
Yeah, and you can find me on Tape for the Duchess as host Rankum every week. Next week, we'll be talking about the top show of voice acting performances that we think should have been nominated for an Oscar. So it should be a lot of fun there. And
Seth Rogen's Sausage Party. No, probably Edward Norton as the bagel from Sausage Party, actually. Wait, no, Nick Kroll is the douche from Sausage. You know what? All 3.
They might be on at least one of them might be on my list.
Oh, yeah.
But you can find me on Spare from the Past as we talk about TNA Slammiversary 2020 next time. And I pop up here and there on the Movie Who Network. We're in the middle of the letter series for 1981 and 1980. That will be
They
on
make
tomorrow.
movies those years? I'm gonna be on that.
And I'll be here everywhere else many places.
Not in the tournament though.
No, not in the tournament. But that is the end of Spread and Pass for this week. We'll see you next time.
Check me out on Gore from the Past.